Growing up, I hated my name. There was always another Lindsay, usually spelt with an A, or people would try to call me Linz. The hot mess that was Lindsay Lohan in the early 2000s sort of solidified the idea to me that Lindsay was a basic white girl name, and from early years, I prided myself on not being basic. In the beginning, I was supposed to be Ryan Joy Golden, born to Allison Ann Fenton and Daniel Paul Golden. But due to some strong teenage hormones and a toxic relationship, Lindsay Ann Fenton was born summer of '95. My mom said that she thought Lindsay was a nice girl name and then wanted to continue the tradition of using Ann as a middle name in our family. And then, of course, Fenton was her maiden name. My parents were split up at the time of my birth, so she had final say. Down the line, in late elementary and middle school, I became interested in writing and creating characters. With this, I became interested in names, specifically what they meant and signified in history. Lindsay has English and Scottish ties, meaning Lincoln's Marsh or Island of Linden Trees. It started out as a surname in Scotland and with its first documented use by Sir Walter de Lindsay around 1120. I like the idea of having an earthy name that was connected to water. For many centuries, it was a common surname, but as it happens, became a strong first name in the late 1800s and early 1900s for boys. It was not until the 1960s that it became a common unisex name, and then in the 70s, 80s, and on, became very common for young girls. Anne was similar to Lindsay with being a very common name. The only real connection I had with it was I was a third generation girl in the Fenton family with having Anne as a middle name. Fenton, my maiden name, is where I finally felt original. In East Texas, F names were not common, and no one else had my name except for family. Fenton is one of the English names adopted long ago by native bearers of the Gaelic names Ofanachta or Ofanach. It meant settlement by the marsh, which always interested me in its connection to Lindsay, both having to do with water and earth. In the late 1800s and early 1900s, it was a semi-common first name with boys, but has died down exponentially. As a child, I had a strong love for my name with its coat of arms and the surname of the main character of one of my favorite shows. With these three names, I even had a fun acronym, LAUGH, something that made me feel special and different. And then my stepfather adopted me after being in the family for several years, and I became Lindsay Ann Fenton Shirley at 13 years old. I wouldn't say I lost who I was, but I did feel a loss of control as I was not asked if I was okay with this. This also kick-started many issues with me legally and emotionally over the next few years. In school, to train me, my teachers were instructed to correct all my work if I accidentally put the wrong name, and to eventually take off points if I did it too many times. As I got older, people who knew me about the adoption and name change didn't understand the situation that I was in, and often asked inappropriate or not nice questions, or even making statements about my life that they knew nothing about. But all they know was my dad was not in the picture and I had been adopted. So for many years, I had a apprehension with my last name. But after joining sports and even becoming a teacher, that is the name I heard most, and I've grown to love it. But now, after having to try and renew my license, I have found out that my birth certificate was never changed like it was supposed to. And because of this, I have now been called a light-skinned terrorist twice in my life. First at 15 and the second time at 27, because the DMV did not recognize my passport or current license. All because my parents couldn't do their job, which has brought the idea of changing my name altogether, having to ask the state of Texas to fix my paperwork and familial issues. I have looked into the process of picking a new last name, something that I've gotten to choose and make me. Even having my mother's name, maiden name again, Fenton, still connects to the patriarchal choices and connects me to a family I am no longer in contact. The artistic side of me would love to have a art supplies based name, color, material, something creative like that, something that screams me.